This video is about managing sickness absence in the workplace. It's aimed at giving you ideas and suggestions about how to reduce your costs relating to sickness absence and how to develop a more proactive and supportive culture which can relate better to people who are suffering from whatever kind of sickness absence is keeping them away from the business. The Chartered Institute of Personnel and Development published a survey and some research last year into the causes and the triggers for sickness absence. And this may not come as a surprise to you, but it discovered that the three top reasons for people being out of the workplace were, firstly, some kind of musculoskeletal disorder, secondly, stress, and thirdly, mental health issues. All three, of course, are very broad categories, but if we take those as being probably indicative of what's going on in most workplaces in the UK, it makes sense to examine the features and the characteristics of those three categories of sickness absence and to look at what could be done proactively and before your employees start to claim sickness absence based on one of those three reasons. So first of all, if we think about musculoskeletal disorders, one of the key reasons for people suffering from backache or some kind of disorder related to musculoskeletal features, it will be about poor posture, poor lifting and handling, lots and lots of back pain and back problems, particularly if you're in an industry such as the National Health Service, for example, where nurses are required to lift and manipulate heavy loads, that is us, the patient, and that leads to a great deal of sickness absence because of the stresses placed on the musculoskeletal element of our physiognomy. So, what can you do about that? Training and making sure that people understand safe and secure ways to lift, which have the minimal amount of impact on the human frame, are really important. Making sure that adequate lifting and hoisting aids and mechanical equipment is available to members of staff, and making sure that people don't lift by themselves and that we limit the amount of risk that's faced by people working in environments where lifting and handling goods or materials or people is particularly prevalent. Stress in the workplace is a really, really common thing to see on sickness absence certificates, in my experience. And stress, of course, can be caused by the workplace, although many people will take sickness absence leave because of stress outside of the workplace. But within the employment scenario, we can make changes and make alterations to the way in which we deal with stress. Actually, being open about stress levels is one key feature of managing stress in the workplace. If we try to pretend it's not there, it becomes even more stressful for people who aren't coping well with the current climate. And although the economy apparently is starting to recover, there's still a great deal of fear about employment security and our ability to still have a job in the next 6 to 12 months. That causes stress. All of the preventative actions that employers can take are no guarantee that you can reduce your sickness absence levels, but the research does show very clearly that employers who are open to debate and dialogue about how to manage stress levels show that they are concerned that employees should not be suffering from inappropriate and unhelpful levels of stress, are more likely to have a workforce that is going to talk about their stress levels and be prepared to engage in dialogue aimed at reducing the stress factors that they may be experiencing. And then thirdly is mental health. I think that there is still a tendency to feel embarrassed or feel that we're not very sure how to deal with mental health issues in the workplace. There are some great examples where organisations have taken this head on and have developed clear and supportive policies for everybody. And whether you suffer from a mental health disorder or not, the culture which says it's okay if you're suffering from depression, if you're suffering from some sort of mental illness, we will understand that, we will be empathic towards it, and we will provide a supportive infrastructure, then that can only be a good thing. Sickness absence costs a lot of money. If you are interested in your bottom line, in your profitability, and in the ability of the organisation to manage their workforce effectively, managing these three areas at least of sickness absence is a key performance indicator. So managing mental illness is something that, whilst it may feel a bit scary and may feel as though it's a territory that you're not particularly comfortable about tackling, it's still worthwhile employing people as experts or developing that culture in-house to help to manage it. The key message is to be proactive rather than dealing with ill health. If you deal with a healthy workplace, if that's your starting point, you prevent the sickness absence from reaching unmanageable or very costly levels, and you actually add to your reputation as a good employer. Many of the goals for the workplace should be about ensuring mental and physical well-being for all of your staff. So the business of providing a healthy workplace is good business. It should mean that you reduce your level of sickness absence, that people are able to come back to the workplace more quickly if they do leave on sick grounds, but that there is less fear, less concern, and also, let's face it, less presenteeism. That's a term that's used to describe people who appear to be in the workplace for a huge number of hours. They turn up early, they leave late, they're wedded to their desk, and they're always in the office. That might seem like a good thing. We might think of it as increased productivity and commitment and loyalty to the organisation. But very often it can mean exactly the opposite. So, as an overall summary of what I've just been saying, try to develop a workplace where people can be happy. It's very simple. If they're happy at work, they'll be more productive at work. And there are ways in which you can promote and develop a healthy workplace for all of your employees. It'll help with your bottom line.